All right, we're now into the phone area of our counter electronic surveillance sweep, and we've addressed the wireless issues. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what happens if we're suspecting a corporate tap, meaning that someone corporately has compromised our telephones. So Doug, can you just walk us through how we get through that area of it?
Yeah, actually it's rather complex. When you look at the whole scope of things, you essentially are looking at the integrity of the telephone and the telephone circuit, right from the telephone right through to the telephone room and probably into the telephone equipment. One of the tests that we do is we connect the telephone itself in line with test equipment because we want to know what's going on within the phone. This particular phone is a digital phone. It's a 2-wire phone. All it really needs for operating is 1 pair of wires, so you have to ask yourself what's going on in the second pair of wires. To answer that question, you need a telephone analyzer that literally allows you to run the phone through it and back into the circuit which goes to the telephone room. What we're hearing here, we're on the first pair of wires, which is the digital format. We're experiencing the proper voltage. But what we want to know is what's going on in that second pair of wires. Has somebody taken the product from the microphone in here? Are they taking it out? Compromising room conversations? Does somebody have a discrete tap on the hands-free feature? Is that going out? To do that, we just adjust the knobs. Now we're monitoring the second circuit. There's no voltage on it. We continue to hear the digital tone somewhat, which is normal because of induction. If there was a product leaving the phone, we would now be getting feedback between the phone analyzer and the phone, regardless if it was this microphone being abused, or that microphone being abused, or a device inside with the product going out to spare pair. So that essentially addresses the integrity of the digital phone.
So is it kind of like you're measuring the current, and as if there was something online with this, there'd be some kind of a voltage drop? Is that kind of like what's happening here? Or?
No, you're talking about analog technology now.
Okay.
This is digital technology. Okay. Two different things altogether.
Okay.
So we also have equipment that we can send a signal down the telephone line between here and the telephone room, and it will tell us if there's any taps on the line. If there are, it'll send back a reflection, and we can literally
So
see where the
we're
tap
able
is.
to basically take this phone circuitry and search it all the way back to the phone closet, or how far are we going?
It's actually going right back through the closet into the telephone switch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is important, if possible, to get into the telephone closet because there's numerous wires leaving the wall. At this point, I don't know how many. Usually there's 3 pairs, which is 6 wires. And the reason for getting into the telephone closet is to examine these wires and see if essentially they're a pre-wired path from this room to that room. And we want to know if any of them are being abused. See if there was a probe in the wall, say, for instance.
So what you're saying is in a normal sweep, not only do we have to be in a central area, whatever, the boardroom, but you actually would want to be in the phone closet where we can do some kind of an inspection of these phone lines.
That's correct.
Okay.
To see if there's audio products going down, to see if somebody has an interest in this phone and say they've cross-connected it to another circuit going somewhere else where it can be safely observed and recorded.
Wow. Now, what about situations where a communication signal is being taken out via the power lines? And the best way that I can think to describe this to you is a situation where people use a baby monitor. For example, you have the transmitter in the nursery, but the receiver is actually down in the living room where you're watching TV. So somewhere along the lines, one of the ways to get a communication signal out of an area is via the power line. So Doug, how do we handle a situation where someone's planted a baby monitor? Maybe someone's not a professional, but they've got something really, really hidden, maybe behind that credenza or whatever, and they're sitting listening to us some other part of the building. How do we handle that?
Mm-hmm. It's an excellent question, Kevin. You're talking basically about a term or technology called power line carrier devices. These are readily available. Instead of signals going through the air, they literally travel through the power lines. And so what we have to do is couple our equipment to the power lines and observe the signals in that portion of the spectrum where they can operate. In Canada, they are typically on 3 different frequencies as sold by various suppliers. So we don't want to just look at those 3 frequencies. We want to engulf the complete spectrum where they're capable of operating. To do that, we need a special adapter. That's that little blue box over there, and it allows us to observe signals on the power lines and feed them into this receiver. This receiver goes right down to 10 kilohertz, which is just pretty well in the hearing range. It's extremely sensitive, but it allows us to then scan all of the very low frequency signals and see if in fact there are any power line carrier signals on there.
Okay. Now, I had a client a while ago, Doug, where they had a business and one of the partners left, and he formed a business right in the same building. Basically, it was a competing business, and the guy was just a couple of floors below. Now, how far can this this stuff on the phone lines be used? On the electricity lines, how far can it travel?
It can go for miles.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What disrupts a signal, a power line carrier signal, is a transformer.
Okay.
Okay. So if there's no power transformers between the sending and the receiving site, it'll go for miles.
So is it fair to say then, if I'm on the 10th floor and my disgruntled ex-partner is on the 30th floor, and he wants to find out what's going on, he could feasibly hear me just through a kind of a baby monitor kind of a thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Now, depending on the threat level of the sweep or how sensitive the sweep is, there are some other areas that may not be conducted in some of the more traditional sweeps that Doug's going to walk us through. Now, Doug, why am I wearing these glasses? What is it you're doing now?
Okay, Kevin, basically we're wearing these glasses. They're a preventive measure to stop damage to our eyes from this UV black lamp. This particular forensic device, it's a 100-watt mercury vapor black lamp, and it takes 10 minutes to warm up, but it's used if we're in areas where we suspect room probes have been installed in walls, where paint matches have been done over the room probes, where wallpaper may have been cut away to hide things, and this illuminates those areas quite nicely. But when we are using this, we have to remember that there's a lot of reflective backlight from the areas that we're examining.
Okay.
And that black light can cause cataracts on the eyes and other problems.
So is it fair to say that this device is looking for situations where the room has been disturbed, paint chips, wallpaper chips, holes in the walls, this kind of thing? It's not actually finding a listening device, it's showing disturbed areas of...
That's right. It's more of a forensic tool to show us. It will identify poor paint matches, it will identify bloods being splattered on the walls, it will identify things that the human eye can't normally see.
Okay, now can you, Doug, walk us through some of the other areas, other devices that you're using here?
Yeah, a couple of other devices that I enjoy using. This particular device, it's a pulsed laser device, and we use this for discovering hidden pinhole cameras in areas. This device, when used, illuminates areas that it's aimed at. If there is a hidden pinhole camera in there, the pulsed laser actually goes into the lens opening and comes back out as a flashing red light, so that now you know there's a hidden pinhole camera there. Regardless if it's turned on or turned off, it still tells you that the camera is in place.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, very, very nice. Expensive, around $5,000.
Wow.
This is a 3rd generation Lytton night scope, and this is used primarily for detecting infrared sources, where you may have infrared lights illuminating areas at night, especially to complement hidden cameras. It's also very handy in detecting laser intrusion through windows, because there is laser technology that's out there now that will penetrate 3 panes of glass, come into a room, bounce off of an object, turning that object into a microphone.